Hare Krishna, dear all, welcome back to my channel. In this video, let us learn how to take body measurement and make pattern for sleeveless kurta for Sri Gaur Nitai. So the kurta looks like this. It is a small basic sleeveless kurta for the deities. Come, let's get started. So the kurta looks like this. It has a back opening. Measurements required is, so now for the measurement required for the full length, you have to start measuring from the tip, the highest point of the neck, and down still how length we want. So I am going to take 2.2 1/4 inch. So it will come to my thigh hip level. So I'm going to take 2 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch. And for the chest, you got to take at the highest, and I'm going to take it is 4 inches circumference. So my chest measurement is 4 inches. So let's note it down. The length of the kurta is 2 1/4 inch. The chest is 4 inches. And for the neck, you again start from the highest point to the front, center front. So how much depth you want, you can take it deep. I've taken 1 inch. You can, if you want high neck, you can take 3/4 inches or an half an inch. Then comes the waist measurement. So waist measurement is the thinnest part. There it is 3 inches. I've given half an inch ease and I've taken 3.5 inches. So if you want a tight fit, you can take 3 inches. Shoulder, you should start measuring from the tip of the right hand to the tip of the left hand, the starting. So it's 1 inch. So that is our shoulder measurement. Back neck, I've taken 1 inch. The armhole, you measure the armhole and it is going to be 2 inches. So the armhole measurement is 2 inches. So now for the pattern making, you have to take a folded paper. You take a paper and fold it. Let the paper width be 2 by 3 inches or 4 inches. And now here comes a little max. Our chest measurement is 4 inches. Now we got to divide that 4 inch into 4 parts. So divide by 4 and 1 inch will be getting 1 inch. And the same way to follow for the waist measurement divided by 4. So I will be getting 3.4 inches. That is 3/4 inch. So why I am measuring into 4 parts? Because we divide it into 4 parts. The front part has 2 parts and the back part has 4 parts. Since we are measuring, we are making the pattern on fold, we will be measuring only the one part of it. So now you will measure the length of the kurta, that is 2 1/4 inches, and mark a line. So that is our length of the kurta. And now you will mark the chest measurement. The chest measurement is 1 inch. So you will mark 1 inch and draw a straight line. So basically you can see a rectangular box, a rectangular shape. So this is how it is going to look, a rectangular shape. So that is going to be, we are going to draw a borders within it. So the chest measurement and for the shoulder measurement, leave half an inch and mark the shoulder. From the measure half an inch and mark the shoulder. From the point you mark 1 inch for the armhole and give a slight curve. Now we are going to measure the neck. Our neck measurement is 1 inch. From the shoulder point to the neck, you draw a slanting line. So I'm going to give a V-shaped neck. So I've drawn a slanting line. Now for the waist, we'll measure 3/4 inch. So from the armhole point to the waist point, you give a curve. This is the shape of the body. So if you want the shape, you can give a curve shape. If not, a slanting line will also do. So after marking, you hold it and cut both the onfold. Cut it onfold, so that it's like you get the full pattern. You get the full open pattern. So this is how it will look. So our front pattern is going to look like this. So 1/2 of the measurement is done. Now the shoulder is done, armhole, the neck, the side seam and the waist. It's all done. This is how it looks. Now for the back pattern, you just keep the center front and trace on a paper. So our back pattern will be only of half of the front pattern, because we have back opening, so that we cut 2 pieces of the back. I repeat, since we have back opening, we should cut 2 pieces of the back, 1 front piece and 2 back piece. So now I'll show you all how to add seam allowance for the exact measurement, for the exact pattern. So this is trace the exact pattern on a paper. It would be nice if you take another color paper, or if not, the same also will do. You trace the same pattern, the front and the back pattern. After tracing, you just note it down, back and front, and now you got to give 1/2 centimeter of seam allowance. You got to give 1/2 centimeter of seam allowance and start drawing the line. That is the gap between the cutting line and the stitching line. So you give 1/2 centimeter of seam allowance, that is the gap between the cutting line and the stitching line. So you mark all over the pattern 1/2 centimeter. If you're very new for stitching, then 1/2 centimeter, if you feel 1/2 centimeter is very less, you can extend it to 1 centimeter also. So you can give 1 centimeter of seam allowance, the gap between the stitching line and the cutting line, so that it's easier for you to stitch. Later on, after stitching, you can cut the extras. So this is how the stitching line and the cutting line pattern will look like. The same way you will add to the back pattern also. So all over the pattern, all over the bodice, you will add 1/2 centimeter of seam allowance and draw the pattern as it is. So please follow the video. So this is how it will look. So this is how you look. For the seam allowance, you can just make some marking so that you will know the difference between the cutting line, the seam allowance and the stitching line. So generally this is marked with red and blue pencils. You can also mark it the same way. The seam allowance will be of red pencil and the stitch line you can mark it with blue pencil, color pencil. So the slanting lines which I've drawn is of the seam allowance. So I'll just write it for you all. The gap is the seam allowance. The first line is the cutting line, and the second line which we traced is the stitching line. So this is how the pattern is made even for bigger kurtas, blouses and all. The same way I'm teaching you all for the smaller version of it. So now after marking, you can just cut it and keep it. So now the seam allowance pattern is ready and the stitch line pattern is also ready. So this is how you will have two patterns. One is a seam allowance pattern and the other one is stitch pattern. So this will help you out to preserve it and follow the same thing in future also. In the next video, I will continue to show you all how to trace this pattern on the fabric and then cut it and stitch the same pattern. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.